one time. So for those of you that are new to 50 Strong, thank you so much for being here. Time is really important, and we appreciate you spending a little bit of your time with us. Really, just as a quick background, the reason that we're doing this series, we know that navigating civilian employment can be complicated for those folks that are accustomed to military norms. We also believe that a warm connection and direct exposure to those in industry can make a big difference when you're navigating kind of this brave new world, especially more than ever now during COVID. Transition is kind of a critical time to provide this exposure. For those of you that are joining us that are student veterans, you're still in transition, right? It's just maybe a little bit longer. And so what we hope is that by every week providing you exposure to different employers that are what I'll call military ready can help you navigate your journey. So a little bit quickly about who we are, and I am just going to take a quick peek. It looks like 74% of you have been here before. So I will not waste your time by introducing myself. I know you all. Thank you so much again for being here. And we will make sure that you have lots of time to hear all of our great guest speakers. But I do want to just take a second to say hello to my husband, Kevin. How are you?
I'm well, Candy. How are you today?
Good to see you. Kevin is the inspiration, frankly, for why I do this. But what we have heard over the years is that Kevin's transition story is not isolated to him. But Kevin, would you mind to say hello to everybody?
Yeah.
And then I will also let our other guests also say hello.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, inspiration's a strong word when she watched me fumble through trying to get a job out of the military. But really grateful everybody's on, and thank you for all the panelists, for the companies showing up. I was in everybody's shoes beforehand. I got out in 2005. I was at Range Battalion over in Fort Lewis. Thought when I get out, it would be, I'd figured out, I finished up college beforehand. So I was like, oh, I'll be good to go. And when I got out, I didn't understand how the market worked. I didn't understand how to get a job. I didn't understand how to connect. I just didn't know really anything. Most of you that are on this call are probably way beyond where I was. But it's a painful position to be in as the kind of clock is ticking and you're looking for work. So this is the best way for, as Candy helped me get that job, and it was the ability to connect with employers, a lot of other things, but the biggest one is you got to talk to these employers. How do they hire? What are they looking for? There's just a lot of information out there, and the more you're exposed to it, the better chance you have versus just coming in blindly. My impression of getting a job was a little bit different than walking into recruiting office and saying, hey, I want to, give me a gun, I'll go do what I'm going to do. So really grateful everybody's on, and hopefully this is a starting point to getting you to where you need to go. So grateful to Candy and everybody to be on to help you veterans or active duty. So thank you. And awesome. Nice to meet everybody.
Thanks, Kev. So really quickly before we have our other speakers introduce themselves, I just want to lay the groundwork a little bit. Every employer that we have on 50 Strong is actively seeking your skills. Many of them have resourced military specific pathways. Here's what I want you all to know. Maybe one of these employers is a good fit for you, maybe not. But what we hope is that the repetitive exposure week after week to lots of different types of employers helps to provide you with tools that you can basically own your own search. And so I would like to thank those employers that are basically making this entire series possible. Those are Deloitte, ADP, Amazon, and Tech Systems. And then certainly we want to thank all the employers that have participated so far. I would also like to thank our university partners who are also working with us to make this series possible. So our university partners for this fall are all leaning in on career readiness, not only for their students, but also for all service members in our national community. Those university partners are the University of Arizona, University of South Florida, Texas A&M University System, and the University of South Carolina. Also, I also want to just mention, strategically, we also partner with Veterati and the DoD SkillBridge office. You hear me talk every week about Veterati because I think it is so important that everybody kind of has their own tribe of mentors that can help them through their process. Veterati is an awesome way to find those. Um, for those of you that are active duty, I don't care if you're planning to go straight into employment or you're planning to go and be a full-time student. The DoD Skill Bridge program is one of the most important things that I think that you can be leveraging. So we do spend a lot of time on that. What I want to do now is we are so fortunate to have one of our university partners here with us today. So Ken Norwald, would you mind to just say hello and tell us a little bit, a couple minutes about the University of South Florida, why you guys are partnering, and maybe a little bit about how you're specifically supporting career readiness?
Sure. Thank you, Candy, Kevin. Thank you, everybody, for having us. Yeah, my name is Ken Narwold. I retired back in 2009 after 21 years in the Air Force, and I was just like Kevin and everybody else. The transition was not good for me. I was lucky. I got a civil service job, a temporary civil service job, so that helped. But it just kicked the can down the road, and it just put me farther down the path of the transition. So I finally found this job at USF, and I wanted to help. So USF, we serve over 2,400 veterans who go to school. And in my current position as a veteran support program coordinator, I help with that transition from college to a career. And we kept getting feedback from our veterans that there was just, they needed that next step. They needed that next help to connect with these employers. So I had this wonderful Zoom call with Candy, and we became a community and a university partner with the 50 Strong program. And so far, this program has done wonderful things for our USF veterans. It's really helped them understand the process to just relax and know that you can do it. There's people out there that want to help, and that they are here. So connecting with 50 Strong has really been one of the things that has helped take our office to the next level with the career transition for our veterans. So I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to see that this is continuing to grow, and that we have 69 participants so far. And I look at the numbers every week, Candy, and it just really blows my mind. And I'm just so happy to be part of it. And I know Dr. Brow is as well. So we could not be more excited about where this is going and what we can do to help.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ken. We really, really appreciate you being here. And every week, our university partners are sharing out about our events. And so for those of you that are joining us from the University of South Florida, know that Ken is definitely in your corner. If you're joining from one of our other university partners, thank you again for all that you guys are doing. What I'd love to do is I just want to make sure that everybody knows all the great speakers that we have with us today. So Raphael, if we could start with you, just a quick introduction, and then I'll take it back for a couple quick minutes and then hand it right back over to you guys.
Sounds good. Thank you, Candy. Hello, everybody. Raphael Garcia with Republic Services. I've been with the company over 3 years now. I'm on the university relations team, but actually I do kind of a jack of all trades. So I work with various partners for whatever. So if there's any role that you see that you want to apply to, let me know. And I'm an ex-Air Force. I did 20 years in the Air Force. Same thing. I struggled when I first got out, just trying to find that right culture fit, just trying to find that right role for me. And I finally found Republic, surprisingly, with a trash company. And there's a lot more to it than just, as Amy said earlier, just picking up the trash. But I will turn it over.
Amy, you want to jump in?
Yeah. So I'm Amy Treg, also with Republic Services, and there I am the Senior Manager of Learning Solutions. I'm a Navy veteran. I spent 4 years in the Navy, and I'll probably talk a little bit more about that when it's our time to talk, but have found a really nice home at Republic with a lot of great opportunities. So really appreciate being on the call and looking forward to hearing what everybody has to say.
Thank you so much, Amy. We're happy you're here. Michael, let's jump over to you.
Sure. Hey, everybody. Michael Pett with Uber. I'm their head of military and veteran programs. Very, very honored to speak to you all today. I've been with Uber for about 8 months, so I'm actually in the process of building their program out. We'll get into that more in great detail coming up. Prior to coming to Uber, though, I was Accenture's North American military recruiting lead. And if you're not familiar with Accenture, and a lot of people aren't, and that's okay. They're more of a behind the scenes company, but they're one of the largest global consulting firms in the world. And really was just tickled to work for them for as long as I did. We did some really amazing things that I'm looking forward to bringing over to Uber. But thank you all for having me, and I look forward to speaking to you guys here in a few.
Awesome. Thanks, Michael. Emily and Isaac, how are you?
Doing awesome. Hey, everybody, I'm Isaac Burke, and I'm not a recruiter. I'm actually a compliance analyst working in InfoSec at Costco. Been there about 7 months, and I work with basically data analytics of all of our InfoSec information. I'm also the president of Costco's veteran group, so that's basically like our employee resource group. And I just took that over maybe 2-3 months ago. We've doubled our membership. Our goal there is to really provide a soft place for anyone, any veterans new coming into Costco to land and to find a community immediately, and to also provide a community for those that are already working at Costco. I think this is a common theme you'll hear over and over again. I also struggled getting out of active duty. I think I've had maybe 2 false starts, you know, and now finally I landed at Costco and I landed on my feet, and I have an amazing job in tech, you know, making the kind of money that I'd like to make, or I wanted to make, for like 5 years since I got out in 2015. It's been the struggle bus, right? So my hope is just to pay it forward. There's so many people that helped me along the way. I definitely took the long route, and so I hope that I can help as many people as possible. Not follow my steps, follow just the good steps. So anyway, that's all I have to say for now, and I look forward to your questions and to talking to you all more.
And hi, everyone. I'm Emily Fitz, and I am a recruiter, IT recruiter for Costco, as well as their new veteran program manager. Costco is just starting to build this veterans program, and I was really honored to be invited to lead it by my manager. I don't know if I mentioned this, I'm also new to Costco, just started in March, and was given this opportunity because I am a veteran, 4 years in the Marine Corps at a high school, and I'm not going to tell you when that was, because it was a long time ago. So I've been working you know, in the civilian world for quite a while. And I seriously am just very honored to be here and to be asked to be a part of this and to help pay it forward, helping veterans find employment. Same thing. I had such a hard time when I got out, floundered a lot, just wasn't sure, you know, which way was up, you know, at the time. And I wish programs like this existed at that time. It would have made things a lot easier, would have made for a more smooth transition. But hey, we're here now, and organizations like 50 Strong exist. And I'm thrilled to be here. So I'll get in, you know, to what we have open and our opportunities a little bit more later when we get to that point. But again, thank you. It's really a pleasure to be here.
You know, Emily and Isaac, you guys brought up a really good point. Today, we have a really good mix of recruiters, but also folks that aren't recruiters, right? And so, Isaac, you're a compliance analyst. Amy, learning solutions, right? I'm not sure that I even know what those are. So perhaps folks in the military may not know about those roles either. And part of what we're wanting to do is to help folks understand there are roles, so don't kind of discount any of them right away. So again, thank you guys all so much for being here. We are incredibly appreciative just for you giving us some of your time today. Really quickly, before I turn it over to our employer partners, reminder, this is a 15-week series. Next week is our last week for the fall series. But guys, here's what we're doing. We put all the replays on the website within 24 hours because we know that life gets busy and we want you to have access to the information. Please take advantage of that. It looks like 70% of you have listened to at least one replay. So I love that you're taking advantage of it. There's all kind of topics from leveraging LinkedIn. We had the CEO of Veterati join us. We've had Amazon on, Deloitte. Guys, listen, the September 10th session, in my opinion, is foundational because it really is about just demystifying the recruiting process. We did a whole session on SkillBridge that has now led us into this huge spring effort that I'll talk about in a second. But we've had Microsoft, Tech Systems, P&G, U-Haul, Mayo. I mean, you guys, there's some really amazing companies that are joining us, yes, to share their roles, but also just to support the journey. So Johnson & Johnson, Booz Allen, Tech Systems, ADP certainly has been just a huge help. We're now 11 weeks in to this series. And when you registered, you had the opportunity to opt into the military talent communities of all of our partners. What we're now seeing after 11 weeks is I'm now getting lots of text messages and emails. Oh my goodness, I just extended an offer to somebody that I met through 50 Strong. Or conversely, I'm a student veteran. I just got an interview at this company, and thank you to 50 Strong. So again, guys, listen, coming to one session is not going to get you a job, right? There are so many avenues to explore. We just want to be one of those avenues if it is of help. Quick news on the 50 Strong front before we get started. We will continue this series into the spring. We are now working on what that schedule is going to look like. Some other big news, we've had so much interest on the SkillBridge front that we're starting a second series, which is specifically focused on DoD SkillBridge internships. So if you are active duty, please stay tuned for opportunities on that front. Couple of housekeeping things. In the chat box, I see lots of you blowing up the chat box already, putting in your LinkedIn URL profiles. This is awesome, guys. Please take advantage of that. I've also put mine there. If we're not already connected, please send me a connect. But you can use the chat box to connect with any attendees that are on this session. If you want to send messages to only the panelists, please use the Q&A box. For those of you that may not know how to find your LinkedIn URL, I'm going to quickly show you so that you can take advantage of this time to build your network. Go up to your picture, go to view profile, contact info. It's right there, and you can just copy and paste it into the chat box. If you have a funny looking combination of letters and numbers after your name, our very first session was kind of a LinkedIn basics, and I'll teach you how to clean that up if you're interested. Okay, before I hand it over, really quickly, we just talked about LinkedIn. I want to leave you with one quick comment. My friend Matthew LaPointe is at Amazon. If you're not already following him, I highly recommend that you go do it right now. He is sharing opportunities every day across lots of employers, and he is one of the least self-serving people that I've come across on LinkedIn, frankly. But he said that he believed in meritocracy, and so he had a hard time with networking and social media. But what he figured out is that the problem with meritocracy only works when it's combined with awareness. And so I encourage you, if you're struggling with how to use LinkedIn, there's lots of tools to help you, but awareness of opportunity is going to be so key in your job search. So with that, I would like to turn it over to Michael Pett. Michael, you have 15, 20 minutes or so if you need it. If not, great. Guys, if you have questions as Michael's talking, feel free to pop those into the Q&A box. But Michael, again, thank you so much for being here. And we are super excited to hear about a little bit more about you and your work at Uber.
Sure. Thanks so much for having me, Candy. And as much as I'd love to look at that cute little baby smiling, I'm going to ask you to move to the next slide so we can jump right into it. Oh, hey, everybody. Thanks again to everybody at 50 Strong for having me attend today. I'm excited to speak to you all. And I'm going to share a little bit about what's going on behind the curtain. I think it's too easy for me to sit here in a virtual environment and tell you about what we're hiring, what we're doing, but I'm also going to tell you about what we're doing wrong, what we're doing to correct it, and what 2021 is going to look like. I think that's really important, especially for our folks that are either transitioning directly off of active duty or from a student veteran, or even our partners, right? Even our spouses that are at home trying to figure out what that next move is going to look like. We're going to talk about that in great detail. As I shared a little bit earlier, I'm a retired disabled veteran. I've served for 21 and a half years, 15 of which were active duty in the Army. The rest was in the National Guard. Some common themes that you're going to hear from not only myself, Raphael, Isaac, and Emily, and everyone else that's going to speak today. There's some common themes. One is a difficult transition. I think we can all agree that, whether you're just transitioning now or you transitioned 15, 20 years ago, it was a pain in the ass. It really was. Sorry, Candy, I'm going to swear. I swear. So,
listen, as long as Kevin's not the first one, everybody else is totally fine. You've now opened the floodgates.
There you go. I'll break that. But it was terribly scary. And, that was the big thing for me. When I transitioned directly off of active duty and working in a corporate space, I didn't know which way was up, right? I needed to get my feet underneath me. I knew that the military had taught me a lot of soft skills, a lot of resiliency training, et cetera. But I needed to find a new compass because the one that I had wasn't helping me navigate the landscape I was walking into. So if you think that ultimately somebody can exit the service and immediately start a hiring program and do it solo, folks, you're all mistaken. Okay, it takes a village, it takes a team. Okay, so that's ultimately what I'm trying to get to. So with that said, going through this difficult transition, I kind of helped take some of the things that we were doing at my old company, manipulate them, make them better, and now I'm going to be repackaging them and adding them on and adding to what we're doing here at Uber. I'll walk you through that silly little journey here in a second. But let me share what exactly we look at Uber. First thing I need to point out, folks, is yes, you've probably used us for a ride share. Yes, you've probably ordered food from us. Those are not the roles and opportunities I'm going to speak to you about today. What I'm actually going to talk to you about is the 18,000 people that work for Uber, that work in an engineering capacity, that work in a operations capacity, that work in corporate roles. We have roughly 4.2 million Uber drivers out there. Now, if you want to become one of those people, cool, I'll help you. I'll point you in the right direction. But what I'm talking about here today is the corporate roles, the generational wealth changing positions that you all have worked your tail off to earn. Okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about. So anyways, at Uber, the first thing I had to do is we had to define our community. Okay, because education works two ways. It works for the business and it works for the user. So when we were working with the business to determine what our roadmap, what our strategic plan was going to look like, I defined our community as military. We all know what military is, don't need to get into that. Veteran, we know what a veteran is, but let's talk about that last part. All right, discharge under conditions other than dishonorable. Okay, I put it on there because I want to set the record straight. I want to be as transparent as humanly possible. Case by case basis will we work with folks that have had a dishonorable discharge. Okay, I'll give you an example of one instance where we might work with somebody. Don't Ask, Don't Tell got repealed in 2010. Anybody that might have received a dishonorable discharge for that situation, we will work with those folks. Anybody else, case by case basis. The other thing I want to let you know is I got a team of military veteran and partners that work for me. So you can't pull the wool over our eyes, right? We've already been there, done that. So we're good there. Last part about our community is the partner. As far as I'm concerned, you can yell at me, scream at me, send me nasty emails, but the partners are the backbone of the armed forces. Without them, nothing would get done. Not only at the house, okay, not only from getting the bills taken care of, from the family getting taken care of, but just keeping everything together. They are the glue. So naturally, we are going to open it up to them. Now you're thinking, partner, isn't that a spouse? Yes, it is, okay? But we're redefining that term to be more inclusive. At Uber, we strive to change, to make big, bold bets, and we are going to change that term to the partner. Plus, MVP sounds a hell of a lot better than MVS, right? So, I mean, I'm not going to lie. When I did change it, I had that in mind. So anyways, so that's kind of what we're at. That's our community. Real simple, right? It's everybody on this call is who we're willing to work with. Now, the way to cascade that up, right, and sell that to the business can say, hey, Michael, work opportunity tax credits all day long. Let's hire those veterans. Well, what are we doing from a diversity perspective? I don't know if you all know this or not, but over 40% of our community is underrepresented persons, okay? You get diversity of thought, diversity of leadership, the whole bunch of reasons as to why you want to work with this community. One other thing that a lot of people didn't know is that the military is actually the most diverse corporation in the world. So we're used to working with folks that don't necessarily look like us, don't think like us, don't talk like us, and don't act like us. We might all wear the same uniform, but we're definitely different, okay? Kenny, if we could go to the next slide. Thank you so much. All right, you get it, you get the why. Now let's talk about what we do. One thing is we hire folks. Yes, I've got a recruiter hat on 90% of the day, but there's two other areas that we have to work on. We need to educate the business exactly on what our community looks like, what soft skills they're bringing to the table, and how fast they can quickly deliver on those skills. What's that ramp up time look like? Take, for instance, if I've got a 20-year E9 that's exiting, right? What's that roadmap look like to where that person's really actually leading in the fight? Okay. Those are all things that I have to do daily. I have to educate our business leads as well as our leadership team on why it's important that we give those folks that amount of time. The last component is creating. Okay. It's this, I don't want to be the one that spoils it for you, that transition process can be a very big pain in the butt, right? And I'm sure everybody else on this call will talk about their story. But what I wanted to do was create opportunities for folks so that they wouldn't go through the same bullshit that I went through when I exited the service. Okay. That fear, that paranoia that you were going to get figured out, that you're a phony, right? This corporation's going to realize that I don't know how to speak the same way they do. I don't know how to talk the same way they do. Well, we really do. We just need a little bit more softening, right? Coaching. And that's where great programs like Candy had mentioned, like VALOR come into play, right? Skill Bridge, taking advantage of those external resources that are available right now will help make sure that you transition and assimilate to that corporate culture that much quicker. That said, we still have tools that are there and ready for you, such as the day one, you get a 30-page comprehensive hyperlink guide that walks you through all the policies, the org charts, the acronyms, everything you think you might need to be successful. Because I know what it's like going through orientation, sitting in the back of the room, not wanting to raise my hand, right? We don't want to sound stupid, or we don't want to ask that question because we know somebody else is going to ask it. That's fine. I policed all those resources up and put them into a guide. You're also getting a buddy and a sponsor to make sure that those first 30, 60, 90 days are going to just go off without a bang, really, because that's what it all comes down to. The last component before I hand it back over is a hiring aspect. Now, for our Phoenix area folks, I will put in, we are hiring some roles in Phoenix. I know I just saw Candy's head perk up. Yes, we are. But I want to let you know that, yes, we are a huge tech company, all right? The drivers, the food couriers, they are the ones that actually license the technology from us. Huge division there. I don't know if I blew some minds there or not, but even my own sister had a hard time grasping when I left a consulting firm to work for Uber. She's like, oh shit, Michael, are you going to be okay? Christmas is around the corner. Are you going to be able to get gifts? I said, Sarah, I'm not going to be driving cars. I'm going to be hiring veterans, right? Same thing. All right. So I just want to let you all know that when you think of Uber, yes, please continue to use our services, but you won't see me picking you up, trying to take you down the street. Okay. So just want to let you know, with the roles and the opportunities that we are hiring for, okay, they are the technology, they are those behind the scenes, they are those corporate roles. We have opportunities for folks for all education levels, all career levels, okay? We don't have enough time for me to get into the specifics, but I'm more than happy to share that with you at a later date. What I am going to share with you before I, like I said, hand it off to Candy to bring in the next folks, I'm going to share my LinkedIn. Okay, I see there's probably about 1 billion messages already on here, but I'm going to put my LinkedIn in there. I also have a military veteran and partner LinkedIn group, which is where I share my jobs and roles. Please continue to look for that. And I'm going to share my talent community role. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not a job. It's not a job. It's a talent community. You apply just like everything else, but you go in there, and that is where my entire TA team can go in there and look based off your skill set to match based off of open demand. Okay. And for those Phoenix roles, I'll share those too to make sure you got them. Ladies and gentlemen, I just thank you all so much for what you're doing. Please keep safe, stay healthy, and please do not hesitate to reach out. I'm always here. I've been through it. I've been through everything that you all are going through. And Jesus, if I can make it, you all can. Trust me on that one. Okay. So God bless you. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'll sit here in silence and snicker like you all did for me.
Hey, Michael, thank you so much. I really appreciate just the honest perspective. Michael, for you, I am not able to see the Q&A box for some reason, I think because I'm screen sharing. So if you don't mind, just check that out. There might be some questions in there for you, and we can come back to those. And some of them you may just be able to answer, but we can also come back and do some more Q&A as we go through.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Awesome. Michael, again, thank you so much for being here. Just for you guys to know, somebody reached out to me recently, just in the last 24 hours, another employer that said, hey, we're trying to start a veteran program, a veterans resource group. Who do we talk to? I tagged Michael and I think Isaac and a couple of other people that I think might be on this call, Nick Belinsky. And I just wanted to say thank you all for just quickly jumping in on that. The collaboration that I see across employer partners to support veteran employment is really just awesome. All right. Again, guys, if you have questions for Michael, go ahead and pop them in the Q&A box and we will keep an eye on that. At this point, I will turn it over to Raphael and Amy to talk about Republic Services.
Thank you, Katie. Hey, Michael, thanks. I needed the good laughs too. We all been there. Same thing, struggled when I first got out. It took me about 2.5, 3 years to find a good role and a good company. So I can definitely relate. But before I go into like the whole Republic thing, I just want to take off my Republic hat for a second. I'm a veteran, just like most of you that are transitioning out here. I will help you no matter if it's getting a role into our company or to another company. I've actually, if I don't have openings, I will help you get into, I'll do an introduction to other partners. I've done that before. I heard Nick's on the call. I've definitely sent people over to Nick before, send it over to Amazon, JP Morgan, you name it. It's all about taking care of the military community, whether it's the spouses, the veterans transitioning. That's what we're here for. If you just want like advice, I've done that too. I've done offline. I even help veterans get into the right schools depending on what programs they want. I love I'm a university relations person, so I have a lot of partnerships with various schools, and each one has their own little, stronger suits for whatever program you're looking for. So I can kind of help guide in that area too and other things. But anyways, Candy, could you go to the next slide, please? Before I jump in, I wanted, Amy, I know you did a quick intro, but could you maybe elaborate a little bit about learning solutions? Because that's a whole nother like beast.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I am in the Learning Solutions Department at Republic Services. So while we are a trash and waste service provider, there's this whole other world that exists behind the scenes, and I'm a part of that world. So what I do is I work with our internal business partners, so our operations teams, legal team, sales team, anybody, to help them create training and learning content to support our employee growth and development. And so I have a very unique kind of role within the company. So I'm part of the HR structure overall, but I get to work with so many different people within our company, and have really found a home at Republic. So if I step back a little bit, I was in the Navy. I joined right out of high school, just like Emily had mentioned, and spent 4 years serving. I was a Russian linguist and spent most of my time in Japan. And after 4 years, I really struggled with what to do next, and kind of maybe naively, and maybe some of you have the same experience, thought, I'll figure it out in the 4 years that I enlist. I'll figure out what I want to do next. And then those 4 years came up really quick. I had a great experience in the Navy, and I thought, oh my gosh, what do I do? Do I stay in? Do I get out? And it was really a challenge for me, but ultimately I decided to get out and go to ASU, go back to college. So, that wasn't an easy transition either. So I can imagine after being in for 20 years and retiring, and then trying to go straight into another role, like that's one challenge. I got out and went into college, and I went from this great community to being all alone, and really trying to find my own path. And so I was lucky enough to rely on the GI Bill to support my education. I taught English for a while, and then was able to use the post 9/11 GI Bill to go back and get my master's degree. And it was that decision and that benefit that ultimately led me to Republic. And I'll say the journey to Republic Services, I finally felt like at home. It's a huge company. We have a huge footprint across, the United States. A lot of opportunity, but it has a really small company feel. And that's what I was looking for. It's very team oriented, really strong values that aligned with my experiences. And I've just found that the experience I gained in the Navy, the self-reliance, the confidence, the exposure to kind of developing and building, myself as a whole person has translated really well to Republic and my time there and the opportunities that they've provided. And so I know Raphael is going to talk in a lot more detail about those opportunities and how you might find a pathway into the company and find a home here too. So I'll let Raphael take over. Thank you for letting me share a little bit.
Thank you, Amy. I appreciate that. As everybody's Raphael Garcia, University Relations. My main job is to find top talent for our leadership development programs and internships. That's my primary focus, but I get pulled into so many different projects and to help out. So I'm right now helping out the corporate recruitment team and IT department right now. I also help out a lot with our field recruitment, and I'll be doing a lot more of that coming up here in the spring. And I'm also pulled in a lot of D&I projects, whether it's veterans or people of color or women in leadership. I get pulled into the various different projects for that. And then we do have various business resource groups. We do have a veterans group that's open to anybody. It's very inclusive. You don't have to be a veteran or military spouse. Anybody can join that as an ally. I'm also part of the Black Employee Network that we have. Also, it's another business resource group. I'm also part of the Women Republic as male ally, and that too. And we have a Latino group coming up here next month, and probably more down the road. But I'm going to jump into these slides. I'm going to go through pretty fast because we got limited time. I can always go over this, one-on-one offline. So real quick, the agenda today, we're just going to do the intro. We do the intros, going over some opportunities here, and then we'll talk a little more, dive in with the BRG a little bit, and then open up to any Q&A. All right, who is Republic Services? So we're the second largest waste and recycling company in the country. Also a little known secret, a lot of people don't know, we're also part of the energy sector. So we're divided into 10 regions, technically 11 with the energy department. Our headquarters is here in Phoenix. So we're basically here to support the field. If we didn't have the field, we don't have a job. And then the 11 regions have kind of like a sub headquarters, about the best way to put it, with an area president and staff there to help support those field units. That's kind of like our structure. So it's kind of very military-like, and I can always go over that in more detail later. But we got 36,000 employees. Not everybody identifies themselves as a veteran or military spouse, but the military community within Republic's roughly 1,200 out of that 36,000 employees, and we're growing. We do a lot of mergers and acquisitions, so we're growing again next year. They won't say who the companies are, but we got 2 mid-size acquisitions coming up. Next slide, please. All right, so the 5 R's. I'm going to steal this from our SVP of Ops, Brian Boyer. I'm lucky I get to work with the executive staff. I was a little nervous the first time I had to sit in a meeting with all of them face to face. But as Amy says, it's got that small company feel, even though we're a large company. It's kind of blue collar at heart, but sophisticated at the same time. So it's a nice blend. And even our executive leaderships are super down to earth. So Brian, basically these are our 5 R's. Just think of your core values. And this will mess you up too. Look at our trash cans and our trucks. You're going to see that star. That's actually our 5 R's, our core values wrapped around that star. So you won't look at that star the same anymore. When I first saw that, it's like, oh, wow, those are ours. So the top 4 R's there is basically like the core of who you are as a person. And then that relentless piece, that's like your drive. I know a lot of us in the military have that drive to get the mission done. That's what Brian and a lot of our leaders are looking for. Hey, do you fit Republic's culture, and do you have that drive to excel? Next slide, please. So this is a snapshot. I'm not going to go over all of these here. Every company's got their numbers, but one of the cool things I want to talk about, more current events, is our fleet. We have about 16,000 trucks. And about 80% of those are diesel. So we're trying to do away with some of the diesel vehicles, and we're switching over to electrification. We're actually leading not just the industry, but vocationally wise, we're leading in that. So we already have an order for 2,500 electric trucks, and we want to do another 5,000, but the current vendor's not going to be able to handle that additional 5,000. So we are looking at different vendors to see if they can handle that, the bigger contract. So 7,500 trucks. Everybody asks me where they're going first, probably California first, and then they'll expand out from there. But less carbon footprint. And we also found out, hey, maintenance cost is lower with them. Oh, by the way, they work better with data analytics. Trash company data analytics, yes, we do a lot of data analytics, and there's more coming. So our IT department, our corporate staff is growing quite a bit because of that. Next slide, please. So My Blue Planet, what is this? So this is sustainability, having a future for our families. So part of that is, the electric vehicles we talked about. Also, a lot of our landfills produce methane, and many of them produce enough methane where we can actually partner with a utility company, tap into that methane, and empower local communities. It's already there. It's a clean burning gas. So that's one of the things we do. Some of our closed landfills, we do have to maintain closed landfills for safety reasons. But some of the things that we do with them is, one, solar farms, and we do the same thing for the energy project. We'll partner with a utility company, use that solar power for the local community. We've also turned some to wildlife habitats. And believe it or not, next time when you're golfing, think about it, you might be on a landfill. So some of them are turned to golf courses. Next slide, please. So this is our footprint. What I see here is opportunity. So yes, if you want like a corporate role, so like your IT, most of our IT department here, a good chunk of our talent acquisitions here, ops support, procurement, all these different functions, they will be in Phoenix. So you're limited a little bit on that. But these other locations, operations wise, we'll go into the specific roles, but we have a lot out there in the field for operations or operation support out in the field, a lot of sales too out in the field, and accounting. But I also want to go over that we do have 3 major call centers with customer service type roles, sales roles, supervisor roles, you name it. Next slide, please. So here's some of the awards we won. I really want to talk about the award for a great place for women to work. Our business resource group, Women in Republic, helped kind of drive a lot of that. And our other business resource groups are focusing on different initiatives right now to help, not just to get awards, we just want to take care of our people within the company, and also help with more diversity and inclusion within the greater community. Next slide, please. So this blew me away. Even before we did this campaign, I joined the company and I was with Republic maybe 6 months at this point. I remember there was a hurricane that ripped through Texas. A lot of our employees' houses were flooded out. They were damaged. It was just a hot mess. Power was down. They didn't have access to their funds because ATMs were out. It was just kind of crazy. So Republic actually flew pallets of cash down there, gave it out to the employees so they can actually purchase things they needed. We also put them up in the hotel, no cost to employees, a bunch of different things. But when Community to Serve campaign came out because of COVID response, I really wasn't surprised by this. I just thought, wow, another thing we're doing. So you can see that I'm not going to read off all that there, but the biggest thing this was to say thank you to our frontline employees, because operations doesn't stop. They're out there dealing with COVID, even though they have safety equipment and procedures in place. We just want to say thank you through gift cards, through catered meals, you name it, and also help our local restaurants. They were struggling. There are customers too. So we gave back very large catering orders through them to kind of keep them afloat during COVID. Also, we do a lot of nonprofit. So this is not new, but we gave an additional $3 million to charitable foundations like Habitat for Humanity, for example. Next slide, please. All right, so there's a lot here. We can go more of this offline, but this just kind of gives you an idea across 41 states, some of the role names to kind of look out for. And there's more. This doesn't cover everything, but I just want to give you a quick snapshot of what's out there. As ex-military or military spouse, you can probably fit into one of these areas. Next slide, please. Here's some more. Same thing, just touching on some of the roles to kind of think about. But our corporate headquarters is here in Phoenix. Here's just some of the roles out here that we have. And then once again, our customer resource centers, we call them CRC for short. We like our acronyms too. just like the military. But we do have one here in Phoenix, the Chandler location, Indianapolis, and Charlotte for the call center specifically. Next slide, please. So I got a whole handout on this. This just gives you a snapshot of what we got. Shoot me a quick LinkedIn message. I will send this handout to you if you want to go over in great detail, because there's a lot in there. Next slide, please. This is where you apply to the roles that you can go ahead and explore. If you're not sure, maybe, hey, I'm not sure if this qualification fits me, or, is there some exception to maybe the education? Just let me know. I can always connect you offline on this. Next slide, please. So this is our business resource group. We call it VALOR, and that's what the acronym means there on the slide. We do a lot. So not just recruitment and retention, but we also do community outreach. We work with various partnerships. We have a lot of different partnerships. I'll be honest, we don't have a dedicated military recruiter. I'm kind of it. So I just want to be very honest. If I'm a little slow getting back to you, I am swamped, because that's just one of my pieces of my puzzle. We are working on it. I'm trying to push leadership to get us a dedicated recruitment team. I'll probably start out one recruiter initially. I just don't know when that's going to be in place. But I wanted to kind of highlight Amy here. So Amy is actually kind of like our second in charge, outside our executive sponsor for the business resource group. She's very involved with all the different initiatives. Amy, did you want to speak a little bit more outside of like recruitment for the BRG?
I can get off mute. Thank you. Yeah, so I co-chair our VALOR BRG. We're focused on supporting veterans and spouses. And as Raphael mentioned, we don't really limit it to only veterans, but that is our focus. And we're really working on just building advocacy for that group and developing specific and special learning content to help support the transition from military to civilian and corporate world. And as a part of that, we're building up our outreach into local communities, not just here locally, but across all of our locations. So really trying to get our field members and the whole organization involved in supporting veteran and spouse efforts. And then Raphael really heads up our recruiting efforts and does a fantastic job, knowing that it's a secondary thing and just something that he has a lot of passion around. So he's been really dedicated in working with Candy to really see what might be possible for us. So VALOR has been a great thing that we started at the company, and I'm really honored to be a part of it and give back however I can.
Hey, Kevin, do you see any familiar faces on those pictures in the middle? Scott Morley in the sunglasses.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was our Veterans Day event before COVID.
Yep.
I love it.
Thank you for having us, Candy. I appreciate it. Thank you, Kevin.
Listen, guys, I really appreciate you being here. I appreciate, just the honest sharing around. It's really important for folks out there to know, like, some companies have military specific recruiters, right? For those companies that do, they're a really important part of the process. For those companies that don't, it's people like you and Amy that are really helping to drive that. Maurice Nally, also over at Republic Services, is awesome. So we appreciate that. And I just appreciate, I know you're going the extra mile. Emily and Isaac, I'm sure, are going to talk a little bit about this. They're just starting to stand up their program. Michael talked about their program is still relatively new. So here's the deal. More and more companies are standing up military and veteran specific recruiting efforts. But, not every company has that, and that's still okay, because there's ways to find veterans that can help support the cause inside of these organizations. You guys, I am just going to take a quick look. Looks like some of the speakers are already answering some of the questions. Emily and Isaac, why don't we go ahead and let you guys talk, and then we can come back to some of the questions after you guys just share a little bit about Costco, if that's okay.
Yeah, hey, Candy. Emily and I talked. I'm going to talk first. So I'm just going to go over 4 things here. And seeing as I'm not a recruiter, I'm going to let Emily do more of the talking about what opportunities we currently have at Costco. But I want to talk about 4 things. I'm going to talk about where I came from, how I pivoted, what I'm doing now, and what you can do. And so this is just kind of more of my personal story. And if it resonates with you at all, or if you have any questions, or if you see that you might be approaching some of the same pitfalls I did, please reach out to me. I definitely have conversations all the time with veterans on the phone. We talk. I do a lot of resume editing and on the weekends and stuff, just to help out as much as I can and to give back. So I was a disabled combat veteran in the Army, 4 years active. Got out as a finance officer out of active duty. My first company I went to was veteran friendly, but wasn't really a good fit for me. I kind of jumped at the first company that was like, hey, we're veteran friendly. And I just, it's like, hey, let's start there. Funny story, actually, Raphael and I were in the same TAP class. So it's funny how we both have arrived here on this same panel. Took very, very different routes, though. And so anyway, I think that one of my hangups in transitioning was, feeling like I was too old to kind of restart or go back to school or something. I felt like I was, I was, what was I at the time? I don't know, mid-20s. But still, right? I had like done all this Army training and all this school, and I've been to college for 4 years, and and I just like, I felt like I was losing to go back to school. So I really spent, I want to say 3 years just trying to like even though I want to do something totally different, I tried to kind of use the skills I had at the time, and it didn't really work for me. And I think a lot of you, might be in that boat. Some of you might already have the skills that you need, and you just need to figure out how to get into the market. And so I'll get into that in a second. But for me, my pivot, I actually did a skill bridge program. I went through the Microsoft Software and Systems Academy. I also did a program, the Facebook Cybersecurity University, and went through that. And then I also went back and I leveraged I have no history in tech whatsoever, no background in tech. And I actually leveraged my skill bridge program and got into the Masters of Cybersecurity and Leadership at University of Washington, Tacoma. And so that program at Facebook, that was through CodePath. That's what I was looking for. So anyway, I just, kept doing this learning. I was in a fortunate place to be able to do that. I would say you can use your GI Bill to do that and take advantage of that. Being specialized really does help. And so I went into cybersecurity in large part to have a specialty, right? To not just be kind of tech, IT in general. The third part, what I'm doing now. So right now I'm a compliance analyst in the cybersecurity department at Costco, and I work particularly on the compliance side. Actually, I just got promoted, and I work over the whole org now, over the whole cybersecurity org, and I'm building dashboards for the contributing to the dashboard for the CIO. And so I know Raphael talked a lot about data. So also at Costco, we collect lots and lots of data. And so one of the things you can use is like a business intelligence software such as Power BI, and you can put together a dashboard that shows all that data. And so these are all skills I've learned in like the last year and a half, right? And so I went from knowing nothing, almost nothing about tech to I was writing code this morning. And then I also build out the dashboard for the CISO and our Chief Information Security Officer and for his AVPs. And so that's my job. That's what I do. I work with 27 different teams inside of cybersecurity and coordinate with all kinds of managers and directors to get their KPIs and their benchmarks, their key performance indicators, and help them create their pages in the dashboard to represent themselves best to the CISO, et cetera. It's a wonderful job. I really love it. And it just came through iteration and just through trying and failing and trying and failing. Finding a bunch of ththings that I didn't like to do. On top of that, I have taken over the Costco Veterans Group. And so I already talked about basically what we're here to do. One of the other things, though, really is I'm here to support Emily as much as possible. And so, we're building out a network of veterans at Costco. And I can't say that this is always going to happen, and I can't do this for everyone, but I just want to give you an example. I mean, just the other day, I happen to have a couple of friends at Costco who are veteran allies, right? So that's what we call civilians who are in the Costco Veterans Group, veteran allies, just like I'm also in the LGBTQ+ group as an ally. And so veterans need allies too. And so I had a veteran call me up and he wanted to get into project management. And so I just had him, I asked a couple of my project manager friends there at Costco, I was like, hey, would you mind talking to this guy for like 15 minutes about what it's like to be in project management in the civilian world, right? It was an awesome conversation. And actually it's turned into a job application now. And he's, going through the interview process now at Costco. So it's crazy how that worked out, but that was 100% just through him reaching out. And what I do want to say is I can't promise that when you reach out, people are going to say yes. But now I want to move on to what you can do, right? One of the top things that you can do is remember that you're in the largest fraternity in the world, and that you can get on LinkedIn and start finding people. Like if you just think, hey, I want to be maybe in project management, let's say, that's kind of like saying I want to be in business. It's terribly vague. And so start finding project managers who maybe specialize, IT project managers, or construction project managers, or whatever you want to do and specialize in, let's say. And start finding those people on LinkedIn, start following them, start reaching out to them through messages, start connecting with them, and start doing informational interviews. Do it now. Even if you're a couple years out from getting out, that's the best time to start doing it, because then you can be like, oh no, I don't really want to do that, right? Instead of when you're like 3 months away and you're like, oh man, I don't want to do that at all. That's the worst time. And I would just say, one of the key things you need to do is also decide your parameters, right? So decide your geography, like how far you're willing to drive, where you're willing to move, what your pay needs to be, what your hours and benefits need to be. So the more knowledgeable you can be about yourself and about your own needs, the better you can communicate that. And that was one of the biggest mistakes I made when I got out the first time, is I had no idea what I wanted to do, and I had no idea what my parameters were. And when you're open to doing anything, that's what you're going to get, right? You're going to just get something, right? And there's no guarantee at all that it's going to be a good fit or even a great fit. So the better that you can know yourself and what your family needs and what you need, and just even what you think you need. Maybe in a year or two, your needs will be different, but right now you need to figure out what you need right now. So take some time. I had a map on my wall, and I had like orange and yellow and red was like, man, it better be like a lot of money and I'll drive that far, right? And so that was kind of how I did my map. And you can do the same with pay and hours and benefits. Just a couple last things. I would say bracketing. And many of you may know what bracketing is, as far as, if you ever seen field artillery or anything, and they just kind of, oh, that's a miss. Okay, move over this way. And so you just keep bracketing it in, or even walking in a machine gun, you walk it in, bracket it in until you find out, kind of where you want to be. And so you don't need to just get right to the answer, right? Bracket it in. Couple more things, 2 reads I would suggest. Emotional Intelligence 2.0. Actually, within the first 6 months of getting out of the Army, a very nice person came up to me and told me I definitely needed to read that book. I don't want that to happen to you, so read that book ahead of time. And also another book I've been reading recently that I really wish I'd read a long time ago was 13 Things Mentally Strong People Don't Do. Highly recommend that book as well. It's all just about resiliency, staying mentally tough. This could end up being one of the hardest times in your life, just to be honest. Like it has been a 5-year saga for me, right, to finally land. And I really hope it's nothing like that for you, and these tools and these contacts you're making can help with that. 2 more last things. Mentor, get a mentor. Betterati, do it now, yesterday. Betterati's kind of like mentor here and there. If you want somebody every week or every month or whatever, go through American Corporate Partners, ACP. Best thing I ever did. And you can get a mentor assigned for a whole year, I think it is, through them. And so I'm just wrapping up with my mentor right now, and it's actually completely changed my life. No idea how many times I can tell you at work, I've been like, oh, I hit this situation. I have no idea what to do. How do I handle this political situation here at work, right? Email my mentor, call them up, and totally just sailed me right through it. Absolutely incredible. You cannot recommend it highly enough. And the last thing is Network Hub and Spoke. So a lot of, like I was talking about, when you're looking for people on LinkedIn and stuff, really find those hubs, right? Those people that are just really connected to everybody. And so I know one of the people that I started following about a year ago was Michael Quinn. He really just a lot of good stuff on how to get your LinkedIn up to speed, right? So I'd really highly recommend somebody like that. And of course, Candy already talked about somebody like Matthew Lapointe. And or Laponte, I'm not sure, but anyway, somebody like that who's constantly like just in the middle of things, really connect with those people, or at least follow them. And at some point, like somebody like Michael Quinn, he doesn't just accept contacts, but I actually went to one of his little like hour-long courses on how to do your LinkedIn. And then of course he said, if you went to this course, connect with me. So that's the thing, is you start to engage with people's content. That's a really great way to connect with them. You'll find that opportunity to connect, and they'll connect with you. That's all I had to say. Emily, I think, can tell you a little bit more about what Costco is doing in particular as far as hiring veterans, and really excited to hear from her.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Isaac.
Hi, everyone. Hi again. I am so sorry. It was like all of a sudden, one of my family members walked in the door, and then my dog started barking, like right at the moment that I'm supposed to start talking. And I'm like, of course, of course, just like that just seems to be the way right now in this world that we're living in. But I actually wanted to start by just giving a shout out to Isaac. Both of us are new to Costco, and we've been given this fantastic opportunity to build out this veterans program for all of Costco. And while I'm focused on the recruiting part of it, Isaac is focused on the community part of it once folks are in at Costco. He really is the one that connected me to 50 Strong, to Amazon, to all these different, organizations that I'm building relationships with and connections with. And I'm so appreciative. So Isaac, thank you very, very much. Really, I can't say enough great things about him and all the work that he's doing. He's just pushing and forging ahead to make a way, to make a path for veterans at Costco. And I am, trying to do the same on the recruiting side. And like Candy shared with all of you, we are brand new at this. You would think a company like Costco maybe would have started a program like this years and years ago, but we haven't. We're just getting going, but we are really excited to be here and to be on this train and to be involved. Like I've already shared, I myself am a veteran, spent 4 years in the Marine Corps. I've been out for a long time. I wish I could say that I've been particularly focused on veterans for my career, which has been mostly in IT recruiting. I've touched on it here and there, but I haven't ever led a program. And now I'm being given this opportunity, and pretty much has been getting me up in the mornings, and I'm just, it's amazing. And for a company, the size of Costco is really an honor and a privilege. So with that being said, again, we're brand new. We are just opening up, or just opened up our first opportunities that are specific for veterans. You won't see that necessarily on the job description, but we are cherry picking and choosing veterans for these opportunities, which are internships. We had to start somewhere. I worked a lot and had a lot of conversations with different folks in leadership to finally get to this place where we're able to say, hey, we actually have some open roles, these great opportunities. And what I love about these internship opportunities, there's 5 of them, by the way, within IT, and more specifically within cybersecurity and compliance. You don't need experience. You don't necessarily need experience in IT. What you need, or cybersecurity, what you need is just a real keen passion and interest in learning, a lot of zeal, a lot of energy. And, so I guess, what I want to say is these positions are newly posted on our career site. You're welcome to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I put my LinkedIn on the chat here, and I'll repost it on there, but please feel free to connect with me. The start date for these internship opportunities is going to be January 18th. They're running for 90 days. And this is what we need, is these opportunities to get veterans in these opportunities. Costco needs veterans. We need the diversity that comes with, being a veteran. And our leadership is seeing it. We have the buy-in from our C-level leadership. And so now they need to see folks, veterans filling these roles, doing amazing work here at Costco, contributing, being a part of the team. And I know that that's really going to be, just monumental and opening up additional full-time, headcount for us, hopefully next year. That's the goal. That's what I'm pushing for. That's what I'm talking to leadership about. And we're going to get there. We are getting there. And then again, Isaac, my job is to bring veterans in. So I actually just connected with Candy a couple of days ago. So this was, and I'm more than happy to be here, but last minute in terms of really being able to be prepared. I don't have any slides, nothing like that.
All right. Listen.
But I have a lot of interest in being here and talking to you all, and hopefully making some connections with employment opportunities for you at Costco. I do want to say, one of the things that I love about Costco is that we're not going to look at your resume and look at the job description, and just, we're not looking to check things off to make sure that you have every single, check mark, every single requirement met. Costco is great about giving opportunities to folks that don't necessarily meet all the requirements of the position. And then once you're in, you're in, you are family. We are very family oriented, member and family oriented, I should say, employee oriented. Our members come first and our employees. We can't do anything that we do without our members. And I will say, and I probably should have started this conversation by saying this, that when you think of Costco, I'm sure what you're thinking about is our warehouses, and our stores and all the amazing products, especially toilet paper. We are the place to go to stock up on toilet paper. Is it not the truth? But there's so much more to our organization than toilet paper. Everything that happens in the warehouses is supported by IT. Nothing could happen that happens in the warehouses without a strong, solid IT organization behind it. We actually have over 2,000 members in our IT department, believe it or not. That was a shock to me when I started back in March. I was like, there's an IT department. And so anyways, but I have learned, and I'm continuing to learn, there really is. And we are hiring like crazy, even, right now during, amidst the pandemic. And it's an exciting, such a great time to be a part of Costco. We're evolving quite a bit with, the veterans program being, part of that, as well as diversity and inclusion. We're seeing a lot of initiatives being pushed out for diversity and inclusion. We are connecting with organizations. We are specifically marketing our opportunities to diverse and inclusive organizations. Veterans, again, is a huge part of that. So I think that's it for now. Again, we're starting with these 5 internship positions in IT. Please feel free to check out our career site, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to send you a link to the job postings, and just keep looking at our site. You are more than welcome to apply to any position that you see on our site. If there's something specific that you are really keen for and interested in, again, reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to do what I can to connect you with the hiring manager and with the hiring team. So it doesn't just have to be the internships, but these are our first roles that we're actually targeting specifically to veterans, and more to come next year. I will not shut up. I will keep, pushing and pushing and getting these opportunities open so that we can really support the people that have fought so hard for our freedoms and liberties. So more good stuff to come. Go ahead.
So for those of you that, like Emily just offered an amazing opportunity for, if you're out there, please take her up on this. Emily, real quick, the internships, where are they located?
Yep, so they're going to be remote right now because of COVID, but they would be at our headquarters. It's a little, the timing is kind of interesting. They're starting in January. They'll last for 90 days. I don't foresee us being back in the office, by the time the internship is open, but the person should have interest and openness to relocating to the Seattle, Washington area. Specifically, we are in Issaquah, Washington, if you want to look that up. So.
Got it. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you. Michael, you wanted to jump in with something.
Yeah, Candy, thanks so much. And this applies for all of our corporate partners that are applied. So I think it'll give you all a little peace of mind. This isn't going to be an Uber-centric statement. I first of all, I want to thank you all for the Q&A. We were chatting along, having some great conversations, and somebody brought up a really good point. They applied directly for a position. And I think that's fantastic to take that initiative to do that. But I want to let you know that we are all on this call for a reason. We are now figureheads or points of contact for you. Because the one thing I don't want to come down to is if you apply blindly to a position without us having either seen your background, seen your skills and qualification, because then I know exactly what's going to happen next. You lying SOBs, you said you guys were hiring MVP and you didn't do it. And I respect you. I understand where that's coming from, but I know that we've already talked about Veterati and we've talked about a lot of other mentoring programs. So one of the first things you do when you're triangulating your career search is ensuring that you're qualified for the role. Okay. It's going to save you a lot of grief. It's going to save our corporate partners here a lot of grief. It's going to save Kevin and Candy a lot of grief. So let's make sure that we get this done and we get it done right the first time. So that's why I've got my LinkedIn info. I know everybody else has put their LinkedIn info. Before we start hitting apply, because like, screw it, let's just give it a shot. Let's make sure you've got your resume, your profile built out appropriately, because we are not the only people that will see your profiles. We are not the only people that will see your resumes. There's a lot of people when you get to our levels that it'll come through first. And I just want to make sure you get the attention you all deserve. So like I said, it applies to everybody across the board. Okay. Thank you, Candy.
Listen, I'm so glad that you made that point. I hope everybody hears that, listens to the replays and hears it again. People are here because they want to help you. They're offering their information, take them up on it, build relationships, comment on these folks' LinkedIn posts, help them get their message out, right? Make sure that you are applying for the roles that are best suited for you. Guys, I'm just looking through the chat box, and as I suspected, I see quite a few questions about DoD SkillBridge. And so if you guys are okay with it, I will just jump in and kind of answer based on what I know across all of your organizations, if that's okay. So for everybody on the call that's asking about DoD SkillBridge, first of all, I'm super excited that you are all kind of thinking about this first and foremost. What I want to tell you is companies every day are trying to figure out how they can participate in DoD SkillBridge, including the 3 companies that are here. And I can tell you that because I've had conversations with each of these 3 companies in the last couple of weeks about DoD SkillBridge. So today, they may not have DoD SkillBridge specific offerings, but what I would encourage you to do, follow them on LinkedIn, because I promise you, as soon as they have them, that's where they're going to start sharing them. Okay. The other thing I would say is Emily just shared about some really amazing IT internships that you don't need experience for, that are paid, right? And so don't discount a company simply because they may not have lots of SkillBridge opportunities today. Please know that our partners are working to grow SkillBridge every single day, and things are happening very quickly. One of the things that we heard just last week from Boris Kuhn, who's the DoD SkillBridge lead, the program has grown 4x since last year, and that is inside of COVID. So just keep that in mind. There's so much enthusiasm. So follow them on LinkedIn. So that is that question that we get out of the way. It looks like the other, you guys, speakers, just hop over into that Q&A box. I think most of the questions got answered. Is there anyone in particular that anybody wants to jump in on?
Can I talk about SkillBridge for a second?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So having gone through SkillBridge, right? I said I went through the MSSA. I just want to make 2 things very clear. Just because you go through a SkillBridge doesn't mean you're going to get hired at the end of that. In fact, a lot of the SkillBridges have a very low, I shouldn't say a lot of them, some of them that I know of have a very low hire rate at the end directly into that org that's sponsoring them, right? If they're a company sponsored directly, let's say. But I would say that SkillBridges can be a really awesome.
Isaac, I think you're on mute.
On mute,
Yeah.
brother.
Oh, sorry. I already hit it. I want you to think a little bit bigger too when you think of a skill bridge program, that it doesn't necessarily just have to end at that company, right? So think about the skills that you're actually learning in that too, and be really thoughtful about those skills and not just maybe so focused on that company. Because if you don't get hired at that company, you want to make sure that those are skills you actually want to do and that you can take and carry somewhere else.
Yep. Great point. Guys, listen, there are 500 SkillBridge programs today, up from 100 and something a year ago. So again, please stay tuned. What I want to do really quick is a couple things. And then if we have time and there's any more questions, we'll come back. I have 2 giveaways, and I want to talk a little bit more about our giveaway questions than I normally do, if that's okay, because I think the conversation that all these speakers have kind of brought up is really important. So we have 2 giveaways today. The first one, I met Jason Van Camp last week, and he offered to send me one of his new books. And so I said, how would you feel about us sharing it out as a giveaway at 50 Strong next week? So I have a question that I want you guys to think about. The 4th person to type the right answer into this question into the Q&A box, right, guys? Please find the Q&A box and be ready. The 4th person to type this into the Q&A box is going to win. No repeat winners. So if you've been with us before and you've won a gift card, please do not try to get this one. So Amazon has been with us a couple of times, and on 10/8 and 11/19, you can watch the replays if you missed it. They shared the STAR method of interviewing, as well as tips for how to leverage the STAR method of interviewing with the Amazon leadership principles. So in the STAR method of interviewing, what does the R stand for? The 4th person to type it into the Q&A box is going to get Jason Van Camp's book. Kev, I cannot see the Q&A box when I'm sharing my slides. Can you keep an eye on the right answer for the R?
Yes, ma'am. Sure can. I do. I got a winner here. Big winner.
You got a winner.
I do.
All right. The R stands for result. Guys, this is the one that I hear most often that service members leave out. If you have not already prepped for interviews, please prep for them before you get an interview. These replays that the Amazon team led are just one way that you can do that. There's Candorful. LinkedIn has an interview prep tool. Hire Heroes USA is a really great resource for this. So just make sure you're preparing for interviews. It's really, really important, especially when you've gotten that far. Okay, Kev, who won the book?
Jerry Glasscock.
Awesome, congratulations. If you can put your mailing address into the Q&A box, I'll make sure that you get that book. All right, next giveaway. We have an Amazon gift card, no repeat winners. The 3rd person to type the correct answer into the Q&A box is going to win. So I mentioned before that Kevin Werty is the military talent acquisition lead at Deloitte. And I mentioned before that Kevin joined us on September 10th. He led a session called Demystifying the Civilian Recruiting Process. I believe that replay is, if you don't watch any of the replays of this series, please go watch that one, because he basically really broke down the process for the different ways into a company. And so he shared 4 key funnels. He shared 4 funnels. The first one, the 3rd person that knows what the first one is going to win. The others are experienced recruiters as a pipeline, veteran recruiters, and Raphael, you talked a little bit about this, and referrals. So what was the first funnel that Kevin Werty shared? 3rd person to type it into the Q&A box wins. If you are a student veteran, this is particularly important for you. Hint, hint. Kevin, do I have any right answers in there so far?
You do. You have 1 right answer.
Okay. Can I have 2 more? Somebody out there?
Okay. I do have a second one, but it's anonymous.
Okay.
That's not very helpful for me.
Okay. So whoever was the first person that typed in campus recruiters, student veterans, this is really important for you because Kevin basically broke down for companies that have veteran recruiters, right? Not all of them have veteran specific recruiters, but he basically broke down the different funnels into organizations, which is kind of universal across many companies. If you did not watch that replay, please go back and check that one out. It's really, really just, again, foundational.
And that was David Martinez.
Oh, David, fantastic. My box is off, but David, I'm super excited. By the way, I just noticed David told us that this is his 10th 50 strong session that he's attended. So David, thank you so much for being with us. Again, that replay is on our website. And David, that's right, you are a student veteran. Okay, guys, I just had a couple of last things. Are there any other questions in the Q&A box that anybody wants to talk about, or any last thoughts before I kind of wrap us up? Anybody, any speakers?
Andy, I think we missed a couple things in the box.
Oh, got it. Go for it. It's hard for me to follow when I have the slides up. Go ahead and jump in, Raphael.
Yeah, it looks like for all of us employers, but it looks like there was a question about remote work, and then I also saw a question about any kind of education benefits with the company. I'll address the education benefits with Republic. Right now, we do not. We do have formal classes that you can take, like leadership fundamentals, powerful presentations. We do have formal internal classes, but not like a tuition type reimbursement type program. And then for remote roles, during COVID, we are remote corporate call centers. Most of our sales teams, most of our accounting teams across the country are remote right now. Now, when it's outside the COVID situation, when we go back to some kind of normal, it'll probably be hybrid or in person. However, there are some sales roles and some IT roles that can continue to be remote. The vast majority of our roles are in person, just to address that for Republic.
Awesome.
Hey, Candy, can I say something? And this is just because the nature of the companies that are on are really large. And a lot of the previous panelists talked a lot about it, but it was, when you're looking for a role and you get that role at the company, these companies are really, really big. And there's a lot of roles. You may start out where you think you like a role. And I think Isaac talked a lot about it. But there's a lot of upward mobility and even lateral mobility. If you're not looking to climb up a ladder and, promote yourself to failure kind of thing. It's like, if there's stuff that you like to do, you can find that out in these big companies. Smaller companies, it's a little tougher. It's like I started out at Lockheed doing training software. And then next thing you know, I'm doing testing or project management, whatever. But there's a lot of opportunities in big companies. So it's not, it may not be a perfect fit for you, but getting into these companies will really help you kind of open up your optics a little bit. And with companies like, with Costco and Uber and Republics, it's like, you guys are really big companies on the IT side or everything else you guys have. So I just keep that in mind when you're with these different roles. There's a lot of opportunity once you get inside. I think Emily talked about it. It's a family and they help you out and you can move around, but you might find that the role you thought you would like is not quite what you thought it was. And then you go from there. So just kind of pointing that out with the size of you guys' companies, they're big. So.
Just real quick, thank you, Kevin, for pointing that out. And it's so true of Costco, and I'm not just feeding you a line, I promise. Isaac is a great example. He shared that he really didn't have IT experience, and now he's working in IT and doing, incredible work. Once you're in at Costco, it's, we will do everything to support and take care of our own, our employees, and you will find opportunities. We have plenty of people that have moved up into leadership that don't necessarily have leadership experience or have the experience in that exact domain that they're managing. It happens all the time, but they're trained, they're being given opportunity to learn, to train on the job. That's only going to continue. That's the way that Costco has been historically, and they're always going to operate like that because they feel very strongly about opening up our opportunity, once you're employed and once you're in, moving around, lateral, up, whatever it may be.
Yeah. And it's probably a little tougher. I didn't spend that much time in the Army, but if you were 25 years and you managed $20 billion worth of assets. Your expectation was a little bit different than mine was, but I think it's still the same to a large degree. Those big companies afford you a lot of flexibility internal. If you're a lot more so when you're down at the bottom, because there's a lot more opportunity down there. There's a lot more jobs versus when you funnel up, but just kind of keeping that in mind. So anyway, thank you, Emily. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's really a great point. You guys, we've never finished one of these sessions early. We have 3 minutes left, but I have just a couple of minutes that I need for wrap up. If anybody has any last thoughts, please feel free. Kevin, thank you so much for jumping in on that.
Bye.
Candy, I just got one more thing. Oh, sorry, Kevin, go ahead.
No, you're good. I was just thanking Candy for letting me chat, keeping it real.
Oh, got it. I just really quick, my university hat's on right now, so it doesn't matter with us or any company. But if you're thinking of, you want to go, you got the idea of maybe going to like consulting or investment banking, a leadership development program, these various type of roles, highly recommend using your GI Bill if you have money left. Get your MBA and start recruiting ASAP when you're in that program. The money that's thrown out there is crazy. I'm like blown away by how much money is being thrown around right now. And I know because I compete against other companies, so I know when they counter. So in the negotiation phase, so something to consider if you want to go into that kind of world.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Raphael. Okay, so couple of last things on my side. Again, you guys, all the replays are available. Please leverage them however they work for you. Please leverage LinkedIn to build your relationships, to help people know that you're out there. Find your tribe of mentors. Listen, I love Veterati. I think of it kind of like dating lots of guys. No offense, sorry. But listen, find the one that works for you, right? Isaac mentioned ACP, like find whatever works for you. Just find people that can help you. Very importantly, just like you're doing today, it is so important that you are engaging directly and proactively with those in industry, regardless of where you are in your transition. So Emily, Raphael, all these folks have offered basically reach out to me, right? Please take them up on that. Please be proactive. Leverage DoD SkillBridge. Students, one of the really important things that my partners at Wells Fargo and Amazon have reached out this week to ask me to remind you all, part-time opportunities while you're in school as a pathway inside of really good organizations is very important to consider. Work experience is always going to help you while you're a student veteran. Open every door. Do not wait for anybody to place you, because that's not how this works, right? You have to be opening your own doors. Please share and tag 50 Strong. Let us know what you're learning from this. One last thing before I let you go. As we end, you're going to see a quick survey that pops up. It's 3 questions. It'll take you less than 10 seconds. If you can please give us some feedback. We are in the planning stages for 2021 and definitely just want to get some feedback from you. It also is the opportunity, if you have not, if you were like an early series registrant, some of these companies weren't included when you opted into their employer talent communities. So if you want me to share your information with the partners that are here, please make sure that you just tell me as part of that survey. With that, next week we have ADP and Boeing. I just got off the phone with ADP. They have huge plans for you guys, and so does Boeing. So please join us again next week. And I will say thank you to you all. We are at the end of our time. Thank you to our university partners. Ken, thank you so much for being with us today. To our corporate sponsors, thank you for making this possible. Raphael, Amy, Isaac, Michael, Emily, thank you so much for being with us today to talk about your companies. We really appreciate it. Kevin, thank you as always for putting up with me. And we will see you guys next week.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Candy. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Good stuff. Thank
Thanks,
you, guys.
guys.